Gotcha.
And one of the
Hopefully,
things,
we'll get the final.
yeah, one of the things my understanding is on that 10 million, that people are wanting to see that money start getting used. We can't start getting to use money to have some of these contracts.
We're pretty sure their two stipulations were getting the permit, before they released the 10
Yeah.
million, was getting the permit that we got and having individually signed contracts with everyone, right?
Well, he made some other stipulations of it. One of them was getting the easements, protected easements around the intake, and we got that done.
Okay.
So we checked all the boxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew the check them, but.
So I think,
Assuming these contracts get worked out.
I think most everybody in here knows each other. For those of you
Yeah,
that's,
let's do,
that,
yeah,
this
that's
is
good.
Matt Dunn with Chris Engineers. He's the lead engineer on the Saline Regional Water Authority project, but also Chris does a lot of work with the city around water and wastewater. Obviously, everybody knows Mariah. Mariah is the board member on Saline Region. So really, at this point, this is kind of her baby and Matt's baby. I play with your support role in this. So I will let Mariah start. Matt, chime in whatever Mariah needs, or
She'll leave me.
she probably doesn't. She'll meet me.
That's
But
not
I
true.
will sit back here and let Mariah take.
Are we start, you want me to start now? Okay. Just for an update, I don't know, I mean, I know that you've been super involved. Jason, I'm sure you've heard at least some of it. Basically, our update, like we talked about, we did get the permit from ANRC to pull 22 million gallons from Washita River. That's how much the raw water line's gonna be. Right now, in the first packet, kind of shows our very preliminary numbers. So these are not, I mean, this is not anything that's guaranteed, but projected in 2030, we've kind of lined out 1,000 gallons of water from CAW, plus their infrastructure fee, plus their watershed protection fee as it stands right now, for each meter size, compared to our preliminary numbers for 1,000 gallons of water from Saline Regional in 2030.
Yeah, they are not stable. So your first packet is this kind of colorful one to this one that has the meters and stuff in the back.
Yeah. The second page also has an important note with CAW's system development charge. That is what developers pay when they connect to our system. It's a one-time fee, it's not every month. But that fee will also go away as well. So it starts at, I put it on the sheet, it starts at $150 per connection for a 5/8 meter and a 3/4 meter. We paid $15,150 to CAW in 2023 for that. Obviously passed on to the developers, but that would also go away.
Are these fees per 1,000 or the first 1,000 and then just water after that?
So these fees, I'm glad you asked that. These are wholesale numbers for 1,000 gallons of water. These are not the fees that we are going to be charging the customers of Bryant. That's way too hard to predict in 2030. So customers are not going to be paying $7.48 for 1,000 gallons of water. That is basically, we're going from buying wholesale water from CAW to buying wholesale water from Saline Regional. Saline Regional, the best thing about Saline Regional is that CAW's board is made up of 4 Little Rock members, 3 North Little Rock members. Their councils vote, whatever. We don't have a say in anything that goes on there. We are a seat on the board of Saline Regional, voting member. We have an important say of everything from the ground up, from rates to how we treat the water, I mean, everything in between. So you're getting a voice for actually a cheaper cost of 1,000 gallons, as it stands right now. We've tried to kind of play around with numbers on what we would charge our customers in 2030. Again, it's too hard to determine what we would be charging our customers in 2030. Every system's different, so.
But we don't think that we're going to be paying more for the raw water.
No, as it stands right now, $7.48 for 1,000 gallons of raw water from Saline Regional compared to $7.62 for 1,000 gallons of water from CAW. But the meter, I mean, it really goes up by meter size. So, and that it goes up by meter size because CAW's infrastructure fee goes up by meter size. So if you have a, if you have a 3/4 inch meter, your infrastructure fee goes from $375 to $563. So, and Saline Regional's $2.50 meter fee doesn't change as the meter sizes go up.
So for everybody that hasn't been in every meeting from the get-go, this fee that he's talking about, they're talking about for the per gallon, it's going to be that way for years. This is not something that's gonna go up like CAW's
Yeah,
price. This is gonna be level for a while.
and that's on the back page too.
We could
However
say-
long the board keeps it that way.
Yeah.
You're on the board.
That's favorite line is it's a board decision,
Board
which is the
decision.
beauty, we get to be on the board, so
And you're on
Brian
the
gets
board.
this.
That's the nice thing
But
about
we
it.
don't anticipate any additional cost.
No, this will cover the debt service cost
Yeah.
right on day one.
But I remember looking at these numbers in August, September, before Benton pulled their shenanigans, and it was a big, huge difference. Well, now it's minuscule.
You mean for CAW compared to, yeah, I mean, everything's subject to change. So CAW's watershed protection fee goes up, that's more
Yeah.
for us. We get, more, we're continually seeking money for grants, federally, state-wise. The more money that we get that contributes to the project, the more, the entire debt service cost goes down. But these are very preliminary numbers that, we're able to come up with. We'll get to Benton's part, but yeah, on the last page,
Leroy, the other thing is, if you look at CAW's infrastructure fee, it's based on 2030, they already have 2 more years of rate increases in there.
Yeah.
It's on this page. So that 375 is based on 2030, and then 2031, they go to $4, and 2032, they go to $4.25, versus Lane Regional stays $2.50 flat.
yeah, that's that back page, that's where I like where the, the years are put out for the wholesale. It stays 498, 498, 498, 250, 250, and then you go to CAWs and it's like, different meter sizes, different years, different everything. And CAW's rate schedule, important note is that it looks like it's less, where in 2030 it says it's 222. That's in CCF, so that's only 748 gallons. So that front page where we compare the prices, that is converted to 1,000 gallons. So it really isn't, in 2030 where it says 222, that's for 748. So it's 297 for 1,000 gallons of water. So that's kind of the first page. The second one, I guess we can talk about, what's on the agenda? Do we have to follow Bryant next?
Yeah.
So this is what we're coming to you guys for approval for at the end of February. This is our agreement, our wholesale purchase agreement with Saline Regional Public Water Authority as it stands today. It's a pretty basic contract. Ashley has went through it. We've all worked through it. The wholesale contract actually was drafted a really long time ago, and they all went through it, word by word. When the MOU was drafted, when Saline Regional really started, they had already drafted a wholesale purchase agreement. As Saline Regional's gone on, they've changed it a little bit.
Do you have a copy of Ben's contract? This is a copy of us. Let me get a copy of Ben's.
He's going to get Benton's contract, but I want to make sure that you guys, if you have any questions over this, I know we didn't send it in advance. We've been working on the final details of it, but if we want to go kind of paragraph by paragraph and run you through it real quick, we can do that. The first part, that 77% you'll see in section 101A, that we're agreeing to shall be separate agreement having a 77 participation right and the treated water project, which will be fully owned by Saline Regional. We'll get to that. That's kind of what Benton's deal is. So Benton originally, when Saline Regional started, they were going to take 6 million gallons of finished water. They amended that to taking 3 million gallons or 2 million gallons of finished water. And then as their general manager change came in, they have now amended it to taking a minimum of 3 million gallons of raw water a day and a maximum of 5 million gallons of raw water a day. And then we'll kind of get into how their formula works and how we came up with that. But basically, the raw water line is going to be 22 million gallons a day. So if they're taking they're taking 5 million gallons, that's 23% of the raw water project. So we've broken down the projects from raw water versus treated water. You guys have any questions on that? How the 77% and that kind of works? The rest of it is pretty basic. Again, being on the board, we're going to have say in ongoing administration, operation, maintenance, construction, reconstruction.
Let me ask you a question, because I didn't catch it at the meeting when we had that today. Has there been a price settled on how much we're going to sell the raw water for?
Yes, we'll get to that in Benton's contract.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, they're paying into a debt service, they're paying for 23% of their debt service,
And
but
that
the way it's
includes the
figured.
price for the water.
Yes, yeah, and it is broken down in the amount that they're going to contribute per year, a minimum, and then what they could potentially pay if they take 5 million.
So can Saline Regional sell raw water to other customers, or is that?
We'll also get to that in Benton's contract.
Yeah,
But yeah, essentially, I mean, if we're building a 15 million gallon a day finished water treatment plant, so you need at least 15 million gallons a day. I believe we do have the right to sell raw water to anyone else that were to come on board, because Kinsey has said they've had interest in raw water, so I think that's in here, but it would be a board decision, and we discuss it with Benton and make sure that we have the capacity for it.
Did Benton give up a seat on the board?
No.
Benton has excused himself from anything that has to do with finished water. But they will have a vote when it comes to the raw water project, the finished water project, but they are still on the board. And they are paying in to be on the board in the debt service.
They're paying the debt service on it.
They're paying their debt service portion, yes. It's, we'll get to it more in Benton's contract, but it's 1.3 million, 1,382,000 for 3 MGD. I guess we should have probably done Benton's first, I guess.
No?
It's okay. There's no requirement, because if you give Benton's first, then you have to wait.
Yeah, no, that's fine. As far as us, our maximum is 3, our minimum is 2. That's pretty basic as what we have with CAW. Our maximum right now with CAW is actually 4, but that's because of the tiers and how all of that works. So, and we've discussed all of that with.
What page are you on?
I'm on page number 3, sorry.
Okay.
So on to Article 2, primary responsibility of purchaser. Again, this is saying we're going to be paying for our minimum amount plus our monthly meter charges. Again, it's important to note we will not have CAW fees with that. That will be the $250 meter fee, and right now the $4.98 per 1,000 gallons. We'll take a minimum of 3 million or 2 million gallons. Figure it that way. It's by month. Page 4, rates. Again, this is still saying we're going to be working with the board on figuring out our rates. Rates may be adjusted by board of directors in the 4th quarter of the year following the 1st year, so just a conversation that comes the same as it comes right now with Bryant's rates, except we get a say in wholesale rates and our rates instead of just our rates. The second paragraph on page 4 is talking about Benton's contribution for the operation and maintenance of the project. Again, that's the resulting figure divided by the number of gallons of water expected to be delivered, plus 5% overage until sufficient funds have been met for 6 months of operation and maintenance. 302 is where our $2.50 is set. And it says what it's going for: defray per gallon charges for treated water may be applied to debt service operations and maintenance and to build our reserves. The term of this agreement is 40 years.
40?
40, yep.
Yeah, I won't have to worry about that.
Do you,
That's meters.
the reserve, this mentioned in the second paragraph, is that the one that will allow us to pay for the staffing and stuff like that for a few minutes, or is that just?
Are you talking about the $500,000? No, that comes on a later page. Yeah, that's a little bit later, sorry, no. But yeah, did a different portion of that contract. Basically, 304 is initial water service. We will provide notice to purchaser, or Saline Regional will provide notice to us about 180 days before they are able to deliver us water. And I should have started with this at the beginning. This contract has been looked over by bond counsel as well, and they've added some certain comments in there, so I have the specifics in there that I don't really get. They needed that certain language in
But they're
there.
in this copy that we have.
Yes, ma'am, yep.
And our attorney reviewed it, they also, city attorney.
Yes, yep,
She didn't add anything, she just said it looked good.
yes. Section 305, that we're paying for the minimum monthly purchase amount. This is, without limitations, and saying that we're going to be compliant with bond counsel and Act 605. 306 is kind of more board decisions based on the design. That's where Matt comes in with the design, things like that. 307 right now is this is our deal with East End. Right now, East End's on groundwater, so this is just kind of saying that they're going to still be paying the $2.50 user per meter fee. That's still in discussion with how that's all going to work, but right now, as it stands, that paragraph is still going to be active. They're still going to be paying the $2.50 per meter per month fee.
So there's 3 different contracts. There's this one with Moraz going over the Benton contract, and the East End has a separate contract. And they think this is so important, they're paid into it even though they're not drawing out water.
Yeah, and East End, I mean, all the language kind of looks the same in all the contracts, but East End will be a little bit different. What that is right now is not decided on completely, but yeah, East End will have a little bit different deal since they're still on groundwater. Section 401, this is just, kind of the units, measurement of volume. This is all pretty basic. We have all of this in our contract as it stands right now. 403 is important. All delivery points shall be located within 6 linear miles of seller's treatment facility unless the parties agree otherwise. Right now, our water from CAW is traveling a little bit over 16 miles. So that's very important to note that there's a big reduction in water, chance of water loss, anything happening in between there, things like that. This also goes into the wheeling water to other entities of Saline Regional Water Authority. So like right now, obviously we are Woodland Hills is wholesale customers of Bryant through CAW. They don't currently pay a wheeling fee, but all that's to be discussed as well. But just basically saying that it'll all be figured out in good faith.
So you said the meters have to be within 6 miles of the treatment plant.
So
For each,
Distribution.
Yeah, so our master,
Okay.
our master meter with Saline Regional will have to be 6 miles from Saline Regional's plant, or we're within 6 miles of Saline Regional's plant. So it really reduces the amount of travel. We don't know where the plant's going to go yet, but obviously it's going to be closer than CAW's.
so will we have to run a line to get to that point for us?
Yes, yeah.
So we're not gonna do what they first thought about trying to run it through different,
It's included in the design of the project.
Yes,
So it's not an extra expense.
okay.
yeah. We wouldn't really have anyone that we could wheel it through. Like, there isn't really any other cities that we could wheel it through, but as far as like Woodland Hills getting their portion of water, that's up for discussion. Even East End would be up in discussion for when they would wheel through us. Master meter will be checked within 2% of error. That's all standard. Payment procedures, pretty much everything in there is standard. The only thing that's not, this is what Mayor was talking about, section 5.04 is saying that on or before the initial water delivery date, pay to seller, which is Saline Regional, it's pro rata share measured by water commitments, basically to cover that, and this is what bond council wants to see, that 2 months of then estimated operation and maintenance costs, but in no case higher than $500,000. So when that time comes, even before then, we'll be planning budget-wise and things like that to have that $500,000, put into Saline Regionals, no higher than $500,000. What the operation and maintenance cost will be at that point, not for sure, but $500,000 is the best one. Any amounts paid in and not spent in that period will be dedicated to reserve funds. So again, we've got time to play around with how we're going to allocate and budget and things
And
like
it's
that.
just our portion of that 500.
Yeah. I think Benton's is $250,000 for their portion of the debt service, and ours, it's in their contract, we'll get to that, but everyone else is $500,000. Upgrades, maintenance, and repairs, basically saying there could be maintenance and repairs that would have to be done on Saline Regional's plant, just kind of saying that they're not responsible for us finding water. Again, we still have to discuss with CAW, but we are still planning, of course, to keep our connection with CAW. So now if CAW, something tragic were to happen with CAW, we don't have a backup with Saline Regional. If something tragic were to happen, we do have our backup to 2 different raw water sources. So section 603, everything's pretty standard there. 604 allows us the option to change our minimum and maximum. Of course, the board will have to agree on it. We won't be able to go past. We'll have to make sure that we have the additional capacity, or Saline Regional, I guess, has the additional capacity. Again, the beauty of all of this is it's already in our contract with CAW, but we don't have any kind of vote on anything that goes behind it. Here we have a vote on how that capacity grows, how it changes, things like that. Termination for clause, these are kind of our options to be in and out. Everything up until section 7.05 is pretty standard. So 05 says Bryant can, pretty much be out of the deal if ANRC financing has not been approved and the commencement of construction has not occurred on or before December 31st of 2028. If we don't have financing secured and the project hasn't been started by 2028, we probably won't be going forward anyways. Initial date of water delivery has not occurred by December 31st, 2034. So if Saline Regional is not able to supply us with water by 2034, we also have the option to back out. If the combined cost of the project exceeds $185 million, bids come in and the entire project comes in, it's over $185 million, we can back out. Also, if financing cannot be obtained at or below 7% interest, averaged over all lending sources, again, there's another out for us. Every entity will have this option as well. We also have added it into the project, and this was something that Benton had in their raw water contract that we would like to have in ours, so we added it to everyone's, basically saying we're able to step in on the project for fair market value of the entire project if something were to happen along the lines of having any of those outs. If something wasn't met by 2028, if we wanted to step in with someone else, we would share that pro market share or whatever and say Bryant's going to own that project.
Does it state as far as the out part, and I don't know if it's just standard or what, if someone decided they wanted out, do they have a right to any of their money back that they put in the system?
There's something,
I'm just wondering
no.
if somebody would ask about that.
No, because once we get financing, you're paying on that loan and that, so you are responsible for any debt service that comes along with that. You're responsible to pay back whatever
Until
money
you
we
decide you
borrow.
want out, regardless.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
We are still responsible, when we sign the contract, we're still responsible for covering the debt service of the project as long as that loan is alive. So when we take out the loan, for the length of it, we are responsible for paying our portion of it.
Any of those four happen, I can't imagine a whole lot of people staying in.
Well, that's true
Yeah.
too.
I mean, these are worst
Really,
case
why
scenario. Yeah.
if the bid comes back so high that it's just we all say, we can break this. And there won't have been a whole lot of money put into it at that point. In other words, from,
Yeah, if these four outs in section 7.05 happen,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's gonna
necessarily
be
you won't.
before,
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on which one,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
like, there's gonna be more money invested if we are going out on number B, or letter B,
Yeah.
with the initial water delivery, but there's gonna be less if the ANRC financing hasn't, if we haven't taken out a loan by 2028, we're not paying much debt service there, so. Article 8, this is all pretty standard as far as wholesale agreements, there's nothing that differentiates from our current one. Section 8.07, representation on seller's board. Purchaser, along with the city of Benton, as contract purchaser of 23% of the amounts produced by the raw water project, which is that maximum of 5 million gallons a day, and all other participating purchasers, also termed constituent entities, shall be allotted one seat each on the board of directors of seller throughout the term of this agreement in accordance with Saline Regional's bylaws. That is the beauty of the entire project. That is my favorite section of all time. Section 8, just kind of the notice. Signatures. We will be drafting a resolution to, kind of like we did for ANRC, allowing the mayor to sign documents relating to anything ANRC. We'll do the same kind of thing so that council can be giving approval for the mayor to be signing anything that has to do with Saline Regional decisions like this one. This is the exhibit wholesale water agreement. These are the initial wholesale rates. Again, these can be subject to change, but of course, if they are ever changed, obviously we come back and do this whole kind of agreement again. Right now, as it stands, $250 per meter per month and $498 per 1,000 gallons of water taken by purchaser from the project's master meter treated water charges. So, and we are signing up to take the minimum of 2 million gallons a day. Minimum minimum gallons per month, 60 million gallons. Maximum MGD allows us for 3 million gallons a day. We've got 8,400 water meters right now.
No problems, I would imagine, all kinds
This-
of kicks off.
many gallons we're using a day now?
We have about 2 right now. That's the number we're comfortable with committing to, but
What is it?
about 2 million a day right now.
But part of our water comes, part of our residents' water comes from Salem, so out of that 8,400, some of it.
No, any of, are you talking about the meters that, like Salem water customers but are sewer customers?
Well, some of our residents get their water from
They
Salem.
stay the same?
Yeah, but they stay on our sewer, yes, it will be the same, well, I shouldn't say it will be the same, it will be the same wholesale rate. So if they're still being billed from us, but they're on Salem water but our sewer, they're still going to be paying whatever Salem sets as their water. But they will have the same wholesale rate as we do. They will also not see the fees from CAW like we won't. So they won't have that watershed protection fee, they won't have the system development, they won't have the infrastructure fee.
Were you asking about the 2 million a day?
No, I think
Okay.
Lisa's asking, we have 8,400 meters
Yes.
listed there. That does not include the Salem water customers.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
for
yeah.
meters, yeah, because Salem bills their own customers,
Yeah,
and they have their own meters.
I'm just-
Well,
The bills come out from Brian.
yeah, we bill Salem water customers, but it's our sewer. Yeah, so that, yeah, those meters are not included in this, they're included in Salem's numbers, they're not included in ours, since they're not included in our
Once
customers.
we're all in the same system, then that's what happens.
This isn't gonna affect our nodes that we put in and all that kind of stuff. We'll still be able to-
They're on their own meters, they're not on our meter system. They send us
They
a
send
list
us
of
the
rates
list.
that we
Yeah.
manually input.
But I'm talking about our nodes of which, we're fine, we can still keep all those.
Yeah.
It's gonna change. It's
Yeah.
just.
Water's coming from different spots.
Exhibit two,
We're on the correct.
exhibit two is finished water, correct?
What page are you
Yes.
on?
Yes,
13.
yes. Yep, that's why Benton is not included.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Benton is pulling how much daily?
Benton is pulling a minimum of 3 million gallons of raw water.
Up to 5.
So technically, our Saline Regional's allocation for raw water is 17 million gallons,
And we're building a capacity of 22.
22. And Benton has rights to 5 million of that, 23%.
So in this contract with us, all you're seeing is, the 17 million.
This contract really is
This
more,
really-
this contract really is more kind of referring to the 15 million gallon a day plant. This is referring to finished water.
Right.
As far as raw water, we don't really care, how much gets there. Obviously, we're going to have enough to get to the plant. So right now, as it stands, we would have allocation on that raw water line for 17 million gallons a day. Our plant could only produce 15 million gallons a day right now.
So Tim, your raw water plant, you're taking finished water from CAW now? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no reduction in cost there?
No, and this is why Benton's kind of is unique, because Benton does treat their own water right now. So taking finished water, obviously, doesn't necessarily make sense for them right now. Down the road, who's to say, what's cheaper for them to do plant upgrades to increase their capacity or to purchase finished water? Not sure, but we cross that bridge when we come to it.
And, so that question, we'd have to change our plant if we had to start creating more water, wouldn't we?
Well,
If
it's
we
being
had-
built as you can add to it correctly?
Right.
Correct? That was-
Yeah, right now it's being built for 15 million gallons a day. If someone else, that, again, it's gonna be a board decision, but when someone else comes in, you can see the maximum right now for the totals is 12.25 MGD. So we have the capacity for 15 million gallons a day at the plant. Whoever comes on for finished water, again, it just has to be discussed.
And how much is allotted to the members? It's 15 million gallons per day,
Yes.
but how much of that is,
So
It's on
all,
this back page. This is their minimums, and this is their
I
maximum.
just feel like that's a little short of safety. How much growth is anticipated in any of these areas? You're already counting out 12.25 of 15, that's,
Well, consider that Salem will be on this also, so even our growth that's outside the county lines, or outside the city lines, we're talking, we might add 500,000 gallons, maybe, in the future. We haven't changed our minimum and maximum CAW until 3 years ago, and we only did that to get into new tier.
this also does have East End in there for a minimum of 1.5 million gallons a day and a maximum of 2.25.
and they're
How
not pulling
that's-
that at all now.
No.
As it stands right now, no, but you still have
So
to have it
so you got a little
allocated
bit
since
more,
they're.
a little bit more buffer than it looks like.
Our average of 2 million has been consistent for several years now.
Okay.
Even with the development going on.
And that minimum is actually 8.1 million. If you get the minimum on this list.
Yeah.
will we have enough if a customer wanted treated water, but it's not a member, and wanted to buy water from us, would we have enough extra to be able to sell to somebody?
It honestly depends on the size of the customer, you know, we obviously have to talk about it with the board and see, you know, ADH and everything like that, yeah.
But we could do it if we have capacity, if the board's not limited by another contract.
Yeah, no. No, because they don't have any say in the finished water,
They
so.
would simply
But,
be customers.
yeah, but we only have capacity for 17 million gallons a day of raw water as it stands right now. So if you increase your plant to needing 20 million gallons a day, you obviously have to increase your raw water. That will be a board discussion, and then how you go about doing that. And then I think, I mean, however Benton wants to do it. There's a clause in here about, we can go through Benton's now if you want to start on Benton's real quick.
It's the black and white, it's got notes on it.
Yeah.
Lines, but it's not black and white.
There is a clause in here about, I think it's, we'll get to it. There's basically one in here about overbuild. So if Saline Regional wants to do an overbuild and we want to add more capacity, or Benton wants to do an overbuild and wants more raw water than what they have, it's a discussion on if we only want it and Benton doesn't need it, then we cover the cost of it. If Benton wants it and we don't want it, then Benton will cover the cost of whatever they.
It's a copy of the other line, just
This is Benton's raw water agreement, and this was, as far as we know, he said he was gonna let us know if they didn't approve it, so we're under the assumption that this was approved last night for Benton to sign and move forward with. This is the final copy for Benton. This is Benton's raw water agreement with Saline Regional. Genuinely, their beginning pages are just definitions. Maximum monthly usage is 5 million gallons a day. Minimum monthly usage is 3 million gallons a day. Benton's share from Saline Regional for the raw water project is 23% of the production capacity, which is that 22 million gallons. So
And on page
36.
4, right?
Three. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So you're talking about 1.6 and 1.7, is that what we were talking about?
Yes,
Yeah, there it is.
on page 3. And then 1.8 is their share, that 23% of the production capacity of the raw water project. Benton and Saline Regional shall share 100% of the production capacity of the raw water project. Commercial operation, construction of the raw water project is substantially complete, meaning we can provide them with their minimum, which is 3 million gallons. All components of the raw water project have passed required performance tests. Raw water project has delivered or is able to deliver legally and physically to Benton a volume of water not less than their minimum usage, again, 3 million.
Did they say they're gonna dump it in that lake over there, or they could take it into their intake pipes?
They haven't said.
Okay.
Where are you on, where are you?
I'm on page 4.
Question. All right,
Sunset Lake.
Yeah.
uh,
I didn't know if they was gonna
1.12.
dump it there to hold it, or-
It just means each water provider that is then a voting member of Saline Regional, so that's all of the people on.
But it doesn't appear to limit their voting power to just the
So
raw water part.
This is just definitions, so later in here they do say that,
Sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, these are just definitions, so if we get stuck on something in the contract or like in one of the portions, then we can come back to the definitions, but. Overbuild on page 5, 122. That's what I was talking about, means all design, construction, installation, acquisition of the raw water project or any component of the raw water project intended to facilitate the future increase in the production capacity, meaning anything that goes over the 22 million gallons a day of the raw water project. The overbuild has nothing to do with our finished water project. Page 6 is just more definitions. Page 7, this is us saying, for as far as the project, we'll take all steps to design, finance, construct, and operate the raw water project and sell the product of the raw water as defined in section 4 below to Benton. Production capacity, this is us saying that we are going to sell them a minimum of 3 million gallons a day, a maximum of 5 million gallons a day. They will pay us within 10 days of the invoice. Delivered water is kind of the same thing. It's basically saying how if they go over the 3, that they will pay the difference of the 3 and the 5, or however much they take. The end of page 7 was bond counsel's comment that they added in there, basically just saying all payments owed shall be revenues generated from the sale of water to its customers, and neither Benton or Benton, BPUC is Benton's Public Utility Commission, because Benton is under their commission instead of their city council, so just for clarity. Nor the city of Benton guarantees the obligations hereunder with their full faith and credit. Late payments, they'll pay an administration fee of $250 or interest, and interest lesser than 1% if they're late. Contested invoices, basically, and netting payments, basically saying we're going to discuss it with them. The term is the same as ours. I'm on the bottom of page 8. Term is the same as ours. I don't know why they have a... Okay, I'm sorry. This part where it says term, I don't know why it says term. Benton shall have no financial obligation under this agreement prior to the commercial operation date. So, commercial operation date, go back to the definitions. That is on the bottom of page 3. That's saying substantially complete. When we can start providing Benton with 3 million gallons a day of raw water, they will start paying their per meter fee or their debt service. It's not necessarily a per meter fee for Benton, but we can get to that.
When does Bryant start paying theirs?
When we start getting water.
Okay, same thing, basically, okay.
Their share is $40,000 where they're going to be putting in, I thought it was more, 2 months of the estimated operational costs of Benton's share, which is 23% of the raw water project, $40,000, so that's compared to the $500,000 that we're putting in for our portion of it. Project design is the same as ours, and we're basically saying if it's more than what we originally said it was estimated at, we would bring it to Benton's Public Utility Commission for approval.
Now, the copy I'm looking at, they've got the 250,000 marked off. That's got lines to it on what I'm reading.
Yeah, so the 250,000 was based on the entire project, so that was a miscalculation. This is this is a red line copy, so yeah, that
500,000, we're not paying 500,000, we're
Correct.
paying our share of the 500,000.
Okay.
So the 40,000 is
Is
their
their
share of the.
yes, of the raw water project,
Yeah,
yes.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I had to stop and think about it.
On page 10, the top of page 10, this is where we talked about that overbuild. To the extent that the parties agree to an overbuild, we shall share all costs related to the overbuild according to our respective shares and all the benefits of the overbuild at such time that the production capacity is increased. So again, if we come together and say, hey, we're going to increase our raw water line, do you want to be a part of it? And they say yes, their production capacity increases, and they share the costs based on whatever that comes back, however many million gallons we increase it to. 10.3 basically says that they will not sell untreated water to any wholesale provider, so they can't turn around and sell their 3 million gallons of raw water.
Okay.
Project cost, this is one of their outs, kind of like the same as we had in an out. If it is over 90, and this is just the raw water project, if the raw water project comes in at over $95 million, they do have an out to not participate in it anymore. Operation budget and rate. This is saying that we're, Saline Regional is going to operate the raw water project in a reasonable manner. We will deliver the full share of their production capacity to the point of delivery. Point of delivery is not determined yet. The budget is pretty standard, just asking for no later than 90 days. We will provide them with the budget for the raw water project to forecast operational costs and forecast the volume of water that will be delivered. Raw water rates been determined. That per meter charge in 13.2 is still us saying that we're going to be paying the per meter charge that we talked about. They've got a section in here about the foreign port. If it's not paid or not paid in part, we will, Saline Regional, of course, will take the additional $10 million on relating to both the raw water project and treated water project. In the case that we somehow don't get that money, Benton agrees to pay their share of the unfunded pre-development costs, of course, they'll just cover the cost that is less than $10 million.
23% of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Risk of loss, it's pretty standard. For sale, everything else is pretty standard. Production capacity payments, that was a bond council addition. On page 13, section 17, this is a paragraph with step-in rights. So if Saline Regional is unable or unwilling to begin construction of the raw water project on or before December 31st, 2028, Benton may undertake all rights and obligations under this agreement by providing notice to us no later than March of 2029. So if we for some reason cannot be beginning construction of the raw water project by 2028, Benton can come in and say, I believe this is the part where they can come in and say that they're going to buy the raw water project for whatever their share of costs that they, minus their share of costs that they've already put out.
Now, we have the same step-in right?
Yes, yeah. It's written a little bit differently because this part is just for raw water project. So ours is written a little bit differently. I think ours is 2034 because it's the whole project.
But if those of us who are taking the treated water, does that not include the raw water as well?
It does. It would include 77% of the raw water
Or only
project.
77%?
Yes.
So if someone else wanted to step in and buy the treated water part, they would only get 77% of the raw water?
There's nothing in Benton's contract that says anything about them being able to step in on the finished water side.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I was asking.
First rights of offer and refusal, we are granting them the first right to offer to purchase the raw water project under the conditions. So if something didn't happen, or if something did happen, we couldn't offer someone else to buy the raw water project, we would have to offer it to Benton first, which makes the most sense to begin with. Same with 18.2 on page 14, we're granting them the first right to refuse the purchase of raw water. 18.3 is more for bond documents. And this is 18.4, this is kind of protecting us if either the right of first refusal or, I can't even remember whatever, if Benton exercises either of those upon the completion of the raw water project, our remaining term, which is the 40 years, for each individual that's in, or each constituent entity that's in Saline Regional right now, they are to honor our respective agreements to purchase treated water at the price that's agreed on in our contract, or in the agreement. So our agreement still stands even if Benton were to somehow take over and be that, they would still have to provide us water at Benton's discretion on the cost structure set out in the respective individual wholesale purchase agreements, which is one we just went over. The cost structure set for Benton and based on the cost of service analysis performed every 2 years. 19 on page 15, Benton will not withdraw more than the Benton Utility share of the raw water from the raw water project without prior approval of us. They will not be withdrawing more than 5 million gallons a day. If we do have the capacity for them to pull more than 5 million gallons a day, there is the formula in here for what they would pay in addition to the rate that they are already paying. Termination, again, these are outs that we also have. Agreement will endure for 40 years from the commercial operation date. Either party may terminate this agreement without further obligation if the raw water project fails to achieve commercial operation by 2034, unless there's delays attributed to force majeure or regulatory delays. Benton will also have the right to extend this agreement for an additional term of 10 years, for 2 terms of 10 years, so an additional 20 years. On page 16, they are able to back out if the term exceeds 40 years, if the term for financing exceeds 40 years or is over an interest rate of 7%. Everything else is pretty standard as far as contracts go. There's nothing else really in here. Yeah, they do have staffing restriction in here, on page 18.
See, Mariah, professional definition.
That way you'll be getting a copy of my markup.
Mariah and I talked about this, and we think if Benton wants to keep their employees, they should put it in their own employee contracts, but this is the way it's shaped out. Really,
Yeah.
it doesn't really affect us.
Their first draft said 6 months, so they brought it down to 60 days. Not really something to get caught up about with terminating an agreement, but I don't agree with it, but that's okay. Everything else is pretty standard. As far as contracts go, we pretty much have the same as they do. As far as the payment goes, I'll run through it super quickly, because it's all still kind of up in the air until we figure out final.
It's my greatest comment in the whole thing.
Yeah, I did not know you guys were getting my copy of it, but enjoy my notes. Calculation of annual revenue from Benton. As it stands right now, they would be paying an annual payment, and this was kind of because obviously they're purchasing raw water instead of the finished water, and Benton's general manager said, we're not really comfortable with the per meter fee charge or whatever. We want to decide how we're going to get that money to you guys, whether it's through water rates, however they decide to do it, don't care, as long as they're contributing that amount to Saline Regional every year. So as it stands right now, their annual payment to Saline Regional is $1,382,089. That is the debt service allocation with the additional debt service payment of 10% coverage. And then their raw water fees, minimum monthly usage is 3 million gallons a day. O&M cost is 20 cents per 1,000 gallons. So really for 3 million gallons of raw water a year, they're paying $214,261. But the way that they're contributing to the total project, or to the raw water project, really their per meter fee, if you were to calculate it out by the number of meters they have, comes out quite a bit higher than our $250. So they are giving in their share. It's just kind of different how they choose to do the debt service payments. Other than that, the two.
Do you have a plant location yet?
That no plant location yet.
As long as it ain't bid.
Yeah, no. The 10 million getting released on the 20th is really what we're hoping for, so that Matt can actually get started on the engineering. Of course, we don't really have a revenue stream right now, so obviously how much time can be allocated to the engineering and things. The 10 million will free up a lot, so we can have a lot more answers once Matt can actually get to work.
Okay. East End Water, when and if they buy it, is it coming through Bryant or SW?
To be determined, but I think our bylaws would say, the way we discussed it, most likely through Benton, or I'm sorry, through Bryant, because that would be the shortest route to get to them.
Okay.
But that is to be determined still.
And the raw water pipe, so is Benton paying for that, because it's coming from the Washita River, Benton paying for their own pipe to get from
Yes.
plant to Benton, and then the
From the
finished
raw
water?
section.
Because we got two different pipes, we got finished water and raw water.
Yes, Benton is paying for wherever that point of delivery comes up, they're paying for their pipe from the point of delivery, wherever Matt decides that point of delivery is going to be, which I'm assuming will be wherever the plant is, to wherever they want it, whether it's their plant, whether it's their reservoir. I'm assuming it's their reservoir, but they have not stated and don't really.
So at one time, there was conversation about the plant being at the river?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Is that-
I don't think
I
so.
haven't heard that.
Okay.
No, there will be a raw water intake at the river.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
I just,
but Benton, it'll be wherever that point of delivery is for the raw water.
Okay.
And they will pay the difference, whatever we're not paying.
why, the 250 debt service charge per meter, why is it not higher on larger meters?
Ours isn't based on meter size for Saline Regional.
Huh?
Ours would not be based on meter size for Saline Regional.
Yeah, it's just.
It just seems to me like commercial entities should pay a little bit more than
Yeah,
individuals.
we've tossed the idea around, but it would be really difficult to do based on meter size. One, for debt service coverage as far as bond counsel, but two, I mean, they're like Woodland Hills. Well, they have all 3/4 inch meters that we service right now, so really they're not going to see much. And you can see our meter counts on the back. It was something we tossed around, but as far as figuring it and making sure that we're getting consistent revenue, it's way easier to just do it across the board at 250 instead of figuring it for different. And I mean, of course, you know, Bryant's infrastructure fee is different based on meter sizes. So Saline Regional stays the same, but Bryant, you know, doesn't, and that goes the same for Salem. I think theirs goes different on meter sizes. So there's different fees based on meter sizes, just Saline Regional's fee isn't one of them.
Just not that most businesses and commercial entities are on a larger meter, but we do have several residents that have 1-inch meters.
I'm one of them.
Really?
That kind of be a nightmare to track is meter sizes. Oh, we went down this many, got this many, doing the meters.
Yeah. Yeah, it also separates us from, you know, the CAW chart as well, where it goes up by meter size. You know, the 250 obviously puts us ahead and staying consistent. And you know how
Well,
much you're buying per 1,000 gallons, you know how much your per meter charge
I
is.
know we're trying to get away from CAW, but there's a reason why they charge more per meter
Yeah.
by size.
Yeah, and I will say, one thing about CAW too is, of course, they've been, you know, a great partner to us. They, you know, gave us clean drinking water for however many years. The point of Saline Regional isn't necessarily to say, hey, we want to break away from CAW, but the sustainability that Saline Regional brings us, as well as the voice, is way too priceless of a project to pass up on. You know, of course, we can still get clean drinking water from CAW, but with the price of how things are and everything, having a say is really crucial. And it's something that we do talk about all the time, that we wish we had a say in, that we just don't have that kind of same comparison with CAW.
And
But-
stability.
Just not
Exactly,
like
yeah.
being invited to a meeting that you're a stakeholder in and being told exactly what you're gonna do, and just have to sit there and take it.
Yeah.
Not that,
Well, then,
yeah, CAW's been good to us. When we run out of water right now, if something happens to CAW, guess what, you're out of water. And we all know it's happened in this state plenty of times in the last 3 years.
I mean, sustainability-wise and emergency connection-wise, not only are we gonna keep our connection with CAW, so we've got our connections to sources like Lake Montmel and Lake Winona and CAW, now we're gonna be connected to Saline Regional, well, now we have Washita River. So if something happens in one of CAW's raw water sources or Washita River, you know, we still have a backup. So we're going from 2 different raw water sources and potentially having our emergency connection in Benton, another raw water source of the Saline River. So, you know, there's 3 different treatment plants versus 1 and 5 different raw water sources compared to 2, so, and technically just 1.
It's not just drinking and wastewater. If you run out of water, the fire department doesn't have water.
And that happened over the ice, snow and ice. So lots of cities, several, I remember got from the news, around the state.
Cities that are considered larger than us in the United States that have millions and billions of dollars of upgrades they need to do because they didn't plan.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly
they
right.
Thank
don't
you.
have water.
Yeah, any other questions?
Well,
Nat, did I miss anything?
You did a great job.
Thanks.
She knows it. She's the rock star of the entire group, let me say.
I will, excuse me, I will ask, did the bid contract get looked over by the Saline lawyer to make sure?
Yes,
that-
ma'am, yeah, there was a lot of back and
Yeah.
forth. I think the final one that they did was the 4th draft,
Yeah.
or draft. There was a lot of discussion back and forth, and it was all healthy
Did you
discussion,
mean
but
the
yes.
Saline County lawyer?
No, the Saline Regional Water Group lawyer.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, well, that's where it just came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote them all.
So he,
He drafted it.
he,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about the best compromise I think it could have been with all the great minds put together.
We should have penalized Ben a little bit.
Oh, their penalty may come later.
We're not done yet.
Um,
They wish.
Yeah, so we will be bringing this in February for council approval for the mayor to sign. We'll draft that resolution as well to give her the power to sign that. And then we're hoping that we can get approval that night for it to be signed so that we can be, you know, Brian can be the one.
Ready to get her done.
Yeah.
this is the most exciting thing that's happened for us in a while.
Well, I was at the meetings when Benton went rogue, and it really could have trashed the whole thing. If the other members hadn't been strong enough, because they were trying to strong arm everything.
Yeah, it's taken a lot of teamwork, a lot of discussions, but again, that's the beauty of it. Everyone that's on the board obviously has a lot of experience in, you know, Matt's been a part of Lono, you know, County White, they did pretty much the same kind of project quite a bit of a while ago, so everyone has different backgrounds, but they're all walking into it.
I didn't mean Todd Peterson coming in 2/3 of the way through discussion of group as a new GM and saying, what are we doing? without any, so we kind of knew discussion was coming, how it went, and one thing, but
Well,
discussion was coming.
So, I'm a Yankee by birth,
I'm really-
and I know how they act, and he came in and played that Yankee, and it wasn't necessary.
I don't think, here, let me say this. Mariah, me, other people around here don't have, the younger people here or don't live here, don't have any idea what the feud between Benton and Bryan is, and
Exactly.
nor do we actually care anymore. The only thing we want is what's best for Bryan. If that means some negotiating on the side or something like that, fine. But I
Yeah.
can guarantee you, this is what Bryan needs to do.
They're on board, they know it's a sustainable, water future project, they want to be a part of it, they're willing to be a part of it. This is just the way that makes the most sense for them to be.
And I understood when he was talking about the numbers, hey, I already have this debt, I can't take on this other, I understand that. But I guess, for me, the way he tried to bully everybody right away, I was like, that was the wrong tack, and so therefore,
The night they wanted
That's
to
how
go vote at
meetings are.
the table, I thought we were gonna fold our tents and go home. I was ready to walk
Oh, it's one of
away.
those.
Oh, yeah, that was a couple years ago,
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago when they
Yeah.
were getting more votes and we're like, no.
They wanted weighted voting.
I've been a part of the project a very short time, but there are a lot of people, including Matt, that have been on it, a part of this project from day one, which is like way, 10, 20 years ago. So this has been an idea for a really long time, so it's exciting to see it finally, hitting the ground running, and it's exciting to be a part of,
I
so,
think it's gonna work.
You
yeah.
get approval on the 20th, how fast can you go?
I'm just waiting for somebody to say it.
he was looking for money.
You're ready.
Somebody's gonna get started.
I know that's what they're
Well,
gonna say.
or say yes, I mean,
Hey, I'm ready.
and honestly, what I'm hoping, tonight in this discussion, and if I need to corner a couple of the council members, is just so that on the 20th, we have a good feel that, I know council has not voted, but Water Commission has recommended it. It's been reviewed and everything's positive.
Well, I think one thing we need to kind of keep in mind for anybody that's semi-new to the area, and Mariah can attest to this, what we pay to Central Arkansas Water and what their projections are pretty well set in stone, but there's also the possibility those prices could even go up. Because we're not only paying a water fee, but we're also paying part of their debt service, which we have no say in, for every bit of their system. And so we're not getting the benefit out of that. Those are things that would literally go away for the most part if we were able to control
Absolutely.
our own selves. So that's the important, to me, the important part of this is
It's like
we
leasing
will
a
be in
house or
control.
buying a house.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
You're building no equity.
Right.
In this respect, you build equity for future generations.
Right.
Well, Bill, I like control.
Yeah.
Like you guys being able to say, yeah, no.
Yeah.
We've got a voice and a vote in it.
It's a very unique opportunity. Not many people get to sit at the board from the ground up and
Right.
say, especially wholesale buyers, not many people get to be a part of the decisions that go before getting raw water, getting
Generations
us.
to come.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's
40 years, our grandkids and great-grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone else
that's
is
really
sitting
what
on
we
it.
should be focused on
Mhm.
for this, is the future.
We also had a very good meeting with Representative Hawk the other day. He came and we spent an hour
Yeah.
going over it and he was very excited.
Good. That's
He
good.
told us, he said, this is the most information I've had on it. I mean, he was very, very excited
Well,
about
that's good.
what this looks like and what it meant for the county, for Bryant, very supportive.
Possibly, could he be in for some more funding?
Well, I will tell you that he did talk
Linda,
to
we're not
us.
shy to ask.
He did let us know that he
He
and
was supposed to check with
Representative Bott, he and Representative Bott have been working with the governor on a fund that
Excellent.
will be for municipalities or cooperatives
Okay.
like authorities like ours to draw down on shovel-ready projects. And it'd be like a 50/50 match. And it's a
Oh, wow.
grant, it's not a loan.
Okay.
So it would be money that would be available to us, which that's a whole different ballgame.
Oh,
ANRC is
definitely.
great to be able to have a low-interest loan, but actually, say we bring $1 million project and 500,000 of it can be paid for, that's No. So they are working on that,
That's
and
good.
they're working right now. They've got a lot of the information. They got a lot of the information down up, working on some, the details like funding sources and all, but it's a very positive thing that, I think our governor is recognizing the need for also.
That's good.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Tim, Matt, any one of us.
Water sewer advisory's gonna start in a minute. I know some of you guys weren't here, so I don't want you to feel like you're missed out. So when we get into the Saline Regional part of water sewer advisory, we will recap all of this.
Yeah.
Thank you all for all of your hard work.
They really gone above and beyond.
Years of hard work.
How many years have you been on Thomas Matt?
Well, and
2013.
I'm not gonna pick on Linda, but she's one of the, long-term water committee members that have been involved in this.
Well, one of them, I think, she's been on it longer
Yeah,
than
you've
me
been
now.
on it.
She's the
working on it.
longest term.
So, I'm looking around because there's quite a few that have been on here for a good while.
But Vicki and Jack,
You've been,
probably carried the.
Yes, they have.
oh, yeah.
They've tried for many,
I
many,
mean,
many
okay,
years.
we're
to
talking
have us
30,
get
40
something.
years.
Probably.
This has been a dream of theirs. So, anyway,
Your chair now, right?
we,
You're not United Party.
we have a meeting to go.
Yeah, that's
The
fine.
meeting started.
I forgot my glasses, I'm already in that truck, but we can take
Yeah, we're still.
I'm looking around, we're probably on here.